3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
I'm attorney Andrew Myers. With me on this special edition of About the Law, of course, co-host Yoli Medina from California. And we are very happy to have with us Howie Carr. Howie, how are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Nice to be on the show with you guys.
Thank you. So your new book, Mass Corruption, is making a lot of waves. We're going to get to it in just 15 seconds.
You lost. And you know what you did.
That has got to be one of the quotes of the year. That just has to be one of the quotes of the year. The first interview that Karen Reed and Alan Jackson did after the trial with your show.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, she paused for 5 seconds, and you know, dead air is your enemy in radio, and but it was so amazingly effective.
It was
at second 6.
So your new book, Mass Corruption, spends a lot of time talking about the Karen Reed trials, the investigation or lack thereof that led up to the trials, and then the fact that there had to be a second trial. Your book covers a lot of ground, and there's no way we can get it all in. So when you look at all the corruption that's occurred over the years in the police in Massachusetts, there's dishonorably discharged state trooper Michael Proctor. There's the state police overtime scandal, which I remember you spent a lot of time on. There's another one you spent a lot of time on, Annie Duquesne and the Massachusetts State Police crime lab scandal.
I think she
and
was
Sonia Farrak
from the western part of the state.
We're going to get to that. Of all of those and more, in your mind, having covered this stuff for well over 30 years, which was the worst scandal and why?
I would still say that when the FBI framed the 4 guys for an underworld hit to protect one of their informants. I mean, I know it's like ancient history at this point, but they sent 4 innocent guys to prison. They knew the hit was going down. They knew who was going to do it. They reported to J. Edgar Hoover when the hit took place, who did it, and then they just sat by and let these guys be sent off for 35, 40 years.
That was the Teddy Deegan hit, correct?
The Teddy Deegan hit, right. One of the guys, Yola, you may not know much about this case. One of the guys, Louis Greco, he wasn't even in the state at the time. He was in Florida, and they just sent him away. Another guy, he didn't give $300 to a defense fund for the guy who was the witness against him. So the guy decided to pay him back by putting him in the car, and so he did 35 years for $300 bucks.
That's crazy.
The feds knew it. The FBI knew it. I'd say that's the absolute worst one. But I mean, the Karen Reed case is the most. It's the one most people know about because of the new technology. The fact that it was on TV. You know, like the Whitey Bulger case that was a great trial, but it was in federal court, so no cameras.
Yeah. Some of our viewers have said, well, now through the Karen Reed case, the whole world has seen this horrible corruption in Massachusetts. And so Massachusetts will clean itself up. What do you say to those viewers?
Look at he's laughing.
Yoli, this was your concern.
I know that, and Andrew had the same response. He laughed.
My book, The Brothers Bulger, I have a line in there that the first thing you learn as a kid when you go to the State House is the 3 rules of life at the State House. Number 1, nothing on the level. Number 2, everything is a deal, and 3, no deal too small. And that it's the same. It's the same now as it was, 60 years ago when those rules were, first put into effect or first put down on paper. It's not. I don't think it's going to change. I mean, there are still these scandals unfolding. They set up all these instruments of reform, like the Post Commission. The police peace officer standards and training commission. Now, they just announced that, well, we can't do anything about Michael Cox, the
Right.
Boston police commissioner, who's got a very shady record both in Boston and in Ann Arbor, because he's not a sworn officer. He's the commissioner of the largest police force in New England by far, and he's not covered under the Post Committee.
What some of my viewers also have said this. Some of my commenters have seen things that have happened in the Karen Reed case, and they say, "Oh, well, the federal government, the FBI, will swing into Massachusetts and clean things up." Why are both of us skeptical of anything the FBI does?
Well, as I was just pointing out, the FBI was the ones who framed Teddy Deegan. They said the killers of Teddy Deegan, the alleged killers, to protect the other guys. And they at one time, Whitey Bulger and Stevie Fleming had 6 FBI agents in Boston on their payroll. Two FBI agents were accused, and one was convicted of taking part in organized crime hits. One of them died in prison, and it's very difficult. I mean, I give the FBI credit for breaking the Sandra Birchmore case, and they also did the accident reconstruction, the ARCA that led to the devastating testimony against the prosecution case in Norfolk County. But I don't think they want to get involved directly in anything, and I just don't see it happening at this point. I thought didn't you think at one point, Andrew, that they might step in?
Not really, no, because I've been listening to you for 30 years, and I have a healthy skepticism about them, especially their dealings with Whitey Bulger and John Connolly being a part of that whole thing and ending up down in Florida doing time for a murder rap of his own. So I've told my viewers point blank. I mean, if you think the FBI is a white knight on a shining horse and they're going to swoop in and correct these situations, I think you have a long wait. I want you to tell our viewers, I want you to tell my viewers, you had a hit put out on you, and it was so bad that you were very worried for a long time. Who put the hit out on you, and why couldn't you go to the police?
Whitey Bulger put the hit out on me, and it was more that Yoli, it was more about that I wrote about his brother. He was always very defensive.
The Senate, he was the president, Senate, or whatever.
Yeah, he was the most powerful guy in Massachusetts politics for many years.
And he was likable. He was really likable.
Yeah,
well, I thought he was.
Not if you're from the neighborhood. Let's put it that way.
The corrupt midget was your word for him, right?
Right. No, that midget. Was a judge actually came up with that. George Dare, from the Boston Housing Court.
Oh, okay.
He destroyed his court because he wouldn't hire this son of a friend of Billy. So he just cut his whole. And so Dukakis was running for president. And he wouldn't, he wouldn't do anything about Billy Bulger, and so somebody asked George Dare, what do you think of Dukakis running for president? He's leading in the polls, and this guy Judge Dare said, "How can Dukakis stand up to the Russians if he can't stand up to the corrupt midget?" It was a very memorable line.
And we all remember Dukakis. The visuals of him riding in a tank, and that probably was the thing that tanked his presidential campaign.
Right, and by the way, that appearance was supposedly set up by Jack Weeks, the brother of Whitey's gravedigger, Kevin Weeks. It's all a very incestuous situation in the neighborhood. I'll put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, from what I've seen of the brother, this president of the Senate or whatever he was called, he always seemed funny and jovial, and it seemed like people liked him, but I don't know. I didn't live there. I didn't grow up there, so.
Yeah, there was an event here in Boston on St. Patrick's Day, Yoli, every year that Howie used to cover. Was Howie called it the Halitosis Hall. But can you tell us a little bit about your interactions with politicians on that one day when they attempt to pretend to get together?
Yeah, they would, they would just kind of let everything hang out, and there'd be a lot of stuff that would leak out. Like one time, Bulger, Whitey won the lottery. He bought the ticket. He bought the ticket to launder his money, and so they made a big joke about it. And Billy Bulger read a poem about how he was going to give he was going to come up with the lottery number, and they actually played the poem. That year 60 Minutes was there, and they put it in there like it was some kind of big joke. And he basically stolen this to launder money, to launder his dirty money. And he bought it from the brother of another gangster who by the way was charged with the murder of a black guy during the Martin Luther King riots, and he got off because he hired Billy Bulger as his lawyer. I'm sorry, I'm getting too into the weeds here for Yoli.
Wow.
No, that's fine. And then
I'm well read about organized crime. I have your book, and I know what's going on.
And then the other Bulger brother who wasn't as well known was the court clerk where in Dorchester, I believe.
He was Boston Juvenile Court.
Juvenile, okay.
Jackie Bulger.
Right.
They had this guy that Jackie used to work at a fish store, and he had no college degree or anything like that. And so he went to work for the courts, and he wanted to be the clerk because he couldn't be a judge because he didn't have a law degree. So they had to do something with the clerk, and what were they going to do? They had two options. They could have Whitey kill him, or they could make him a judge. And they made him a judge. And then he became the clerk of the Boston Juvenile Court. And he was convicted later on because when Whitey was on the lam and he needed identification, they used Jackie because he kind of looked like him. They took pictures of Jackie and made phony IDs for Whitey to use.
It never ends. Now, Stephen, the rifleman Flemmy, was not only the right hand or left hand man to Whitey, he was also a confidential informant to the FBI. Is it true that Flemmy had 6 FBI on his payroll and only 2 were ever held accountable? Is that true?
Unknown cause.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, some of them were kind of embarrassed, but they weren't. Yoli, when he was when Stevie was a witness against one of the other guys in the mob, right near the end of this whole run of trials, like 2017. The Steve Buzang, I don't know if you know him. He's a good lawyer.
He's a good lawyer. Yeah,
he's one of Karen Reed's attorneys now. He had him on cross-examination, Stevie Flemmy, and he said, "Mr. Flemmy, how many people did you kill over the course of your career?" And Stevie had to think about it for about 30 seconds, and he finally said, "One way or another, 50 or 60."
50 or 60. He could. What difference does it make when the numbers are that high, right?
Yeah, he couldn't remember. And then Stevie Fleming was also asked one time, "What were your connections with the FBI?" And he said, "Which FBI are you talking about?" meaning there were like 2-3 generations of corrupt FBI agents in Boston, and he knew them all, and it bribed them.
One of the other things that my commenters always comment about is how horrible the Karen Reed corruption is, and I'm not saying it's not, but I tell them, if you really want to see what goes on in Massachusetts, there's a Netflix series about how to fix a drug scandal, and we touched on it a little bit at the beginning of this episode, but tell us more about Annie Ducan, who in some respects you has made some positive comments about her. We don't have to get into that, but Annie Ducan and Sonia Farak, what happened with them, and why should everybody watch the Netflix series?
They were the chemists in the state lab, and it was two different cases. Sonia Farak was a drug addict, and she was just snorting up and taking all the drugs, and then just fabricating evidence. And Annie Ducan just kind of lost her mind. She lost a kid, and she just to give you an example of the case I used in the book with Annie Ducan is she would go in there and she would say she didn't care. She didn't care if someone brought her in something that was small and kind of white and brown. She would just say, what do you want me to say? Oh, it's cocaine. It's crack cocaine. So there was this guy, Leonardo Johnson, and he was just like a street junkie, and he was approached by an undercover Boston cop, and so the undercover cop said, I got to get some crack cocaine. So Leonardo Johnson, figuring he's just got a mark, he gave him a cashew. He gave him a cashew and sold it to him for $20. And so the guy busts him. And you know the way, it's like anything else. It's assembly line justice. They say, Leonardo, you've got a record as long as you're up. Just plead guilty and you'll get a continued without a finding, or whatever they call it. And he said, I'm not pleading guilty to anything. I that was a peanut or a And so they said, okay, we're bringing her in. We're bringing her in. And they brought in Annie Ducan, and she said it's crack cocaine, and I have I have a master's degree and all this. The guy did 1.5 years in prison for selling a
peanut,
a cashew,
a nut.
Nut.
He sues. And of course, the city of Boston gave him like $200,000, and he gets $2 million from Annie Ducan. But I don't have to tell you how. I actually called up his lawyer and asked. I said, "Did he ever collect?" And I knew the answer. But Sonia Farrak was terrible too, because she one time she got like OxyContin, the gold standard of drugs, right? And she got like 50, 60, real things, not just from a pill press, real stuff. And she, of course, went crazy. So when she finally gives it back to the Springfield or Holyoke Police Department, she gives them back like a bunch of like multicolored kid vitamins. And that's what she said were the OxyContins. And so Mara Healey, who's now the governor, she was the attorney general, and she has these people and you know this story, Andrew, about it.
I do. I've heard you tell it, and I read it in your books.
It's crazy. She just said she wants to protect them, and they all say, don't make this too hard. Don't make this case too hard. I mean, there's thousands of people have been convicted, right? And they're of color, most of them. Yeah. So supposedly these are supposed to be people the Democrats are protecting, and they don't give a bleep. And so they file they file a motion in court, and this was all in the 170-page ruling about Sonia Farrak by a guy named Judge Carey, and Mara Healey, now the governor, then the attorney general, files a motion to suppress the evidence of how they were fixing the cases. And then you know what she did after that, Yoli? She filed a motion to suppress the evidence.
Have you ever heard of that, Yoli, out there in California?
Not in California, but Idaho, there's motions to suppress motions. That sounds like Idaho, but
Howie, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
She filed a motion to suppress the motion
to suppress.
Yeah. Howie, our listeners have asked me, and I've forgotten. You just kind of glossed over it a little bit. I've been asked when that hit the fan with Annie Ducan and Sonia Farrak, how many cases had to be reversed? Because they had to reverse convictions, and I just don't remember the massive number.
No, it was tens of thousands. All
right, because I think I said something to that effect in a recent episode where we got into that, and people said, "Oh, Attorney Myers, no way, that didn't happen." But it did happen.
It did happen, and I don't. When I was doing the chapter in the book on Sonia and Annie, I tried to find out exactly, and it's just in the tens of thousands.
It's huge.
It's just horrible, and again, people did time, like Leonardo Johnson did
serious time.
Yes, for nothing.
Now, I hate to mention the next issue, and that's because I have an office in Methuen, Massachusetts, beautiful Methuen, but former Methuen Police Chief Joseph Solomon phonied up credentials of officers he then hired. I guess his trial is set for 2026. Does it ever stop? It's not just at the state police level, it's at the local police departments.
No, it's not. I mean, this guy, Joe Solomon, I mean, I don't know how much you know about him, Yoli. He had two police cars. And one
Oh,
of
one
them,
he smoked a cigar.
yeah, you got it. You got it. Good work.
Yeah.
And he was making like, I think 350,000. He was making more than Tish is making in New York City, you know? And it was just insane. And he was hiring. It was the same thing. I call it hackorama. He was taking care of all these people. He was, if you were if you were a counselor, I guess, a city counselor, and you wanted to be a cop, he'd arrange for you to be hired. If you had a son or a nephew or a girlfriend that you wanted hired, he would arrange for that to happen. And this guy Fountain, he didn't even bother. He just had his credentials forged. And you know who the judge is who's handling this case?
I do not.
Dreschler. And you know who he's the partner of the former House Speaker, Thomas Felon Finneran. Finneran. Lying to an appeals court. I was there that day, Yoli, and I tried to file a victim impact statement. I said it destroyed my faith in the confidence of the integrity of the judiciary. Judge Stearns laughed me out of court when I tried to testify.
Oh.
Speaking of the integrity of law enforcement, the title of your book is Mass Corruption, Volume 1, The Cops. What is Volume 2 going to be about, and how many volumes are there going to be?
I don't know how many years I have left. I think volume 1, that was a wise move on my part because it opened it up. I mean, I was going to do Volume 2, the Pauls, but it may just be more cops. I mean, the cop situation is just really out of control. I mean, it's really bad in Boston. I mean, it's just awful. And I'm trying to get some stuff right now from the Boston Police Department. They've decided that these things from the internal affairs called officer resumes are public record. And so I want to get Brian Albert's officer.
Oh, that'd be a good catch. Oh, what a good catch that would be. Howie, I've been following you long enough to know that I think you're about a year and a half, maybe 2 years older than me. So I hope you go for a much longer time. You don't have any retirement plans at this point, right?
No, I'm
good.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
Good.
Things are working out well.
So speaking of our friend Maura Healey, the governor and former attorney general, it never stops. These headlines never stop. One of the top staffers of Maura Healey had 8 kilograms of suspected cocaine shipped to the Western Massachusetts Executive Office. He's now out on bail, but I mean, these questionable incidents keep going on, and they hired him apparently despite quite a record that he had before he got that job.
Right. He had he'd been involved in a gangbanger type shooting in Springfield when he was a kid, in his early 20s, and he had a long record in small claims court, defaulting on credit cards, Macy's bills, that kind of stuff. And he also been all over probate court. And, and he, by the way, he didn't have a driver's license from Massachusetts. He had a driver's license from Georgia. Now, in my experience, one reason you don't have a driver's license is because you don't pay child support. The judge says you're not going to be able to renew your driver's license. So I don't know what happened, why he had a Georgia driver's license after living in Massachusetts his entire life. But I think we can, speculate anyway.
Yeah.
And he was a bad guy. And by the way, the 8 pounds that was delivered to the governor's office in Springfield, there was another 17 or 18 pounds that was delivered to the University of Massachusetts campus, the hotel at UMass Amherst. And the president of the University of Massachusetts at Amherst is a former congressman who's also in the middle of this.
Yeah, what's his name? I forget. You used to have him on your show. He used to pitch hit for you when you were on vacation.
Yeah, he did. I know him a long time. He's from Lowell, but he's now he made the right move leaving Congress, because he never would have made $765,000 a year as a congressman, behind which comes the 80% pension.
Let's check out this one comment we just got. One of our commenters in Limousine says, evidently Proctor and his buddies partied at Sunday River all last weekend. They got Airbnbs, played golf, and drank all weekend.
I don't know about that, because I think he was in Canton. He has two sons, and he still lives there. And they go to hockey practice on a Wednesday night, and people got some pictures of him on Saturday at the
okay.
at hockey. So I don't know. You know, there are all kinds of stories about where he is. I saw pictures of Yuri Bukenik, the sergeant. He was down at the Patriots game when they played the Bucks a couple of weekends ago.
Proctor's boss. Well, did they put any? Remember that couple that should have been together, and they put them on the jumbotron? Did they put Buchanan on the jumbotron?
I don't know. Buchanan is I keep calling the state police. They said they've moved all these people out of the Norfolk County District Attorney's investigative unit.
Right.
And so he's at headquarters in Framingham, and I keep asking.
Right.
And I said, he's only supposed to be there for October. Is he gone yet? Is he in Cheshire or Peru, or wherever the westernmost one is near Albany? And they keep saying, "Oh, call back in January. We're gonna get him a new spot." But he was also doing details at Logan Airport. He was making a lot of money there too.
How recently? Because he's supposed to be the supervisor of all these. How recently did he do details at Logan?
We were checking, because one of the times that he said he did something, we doubted that it was true. So I filed a public records request to get his timesheets, and he was there at least as late as last year.
Wow. Well, he's the big man on campus in the Karen Reed case. He's checking out cars at Logan Airport. Really?
Yeah. They all. Yeah. It's a tough job. You go up to the hood and you go, hey,
move it, get out of here.
Get out of here.
How many times has that happened to all of us in Mass? Let me ask you this: as long as we were talking about Norfolk County District Attorney, do you think Morrissey is going to run again?
I can't see it. I check his Office of Campaign and Political Finance every month. He's gotten one contribution in the last year, $200 from the former general counsel from that felonious House Speaker I was talking about. I don't think he's going to run, but if they get like 2 or 3 more candidates in the race, all he has to do is get like 20%, and he wins again. I mean, that's how Markey got elected to Congress. There were 7 people in the race, and he got 21%. I wouldn't put it past him if there's like 5 people in the race to try to give it another shot. But it's right now. I don't think he could come close to winning if there's 4 people in the race.
Yeah. Let me ask you about one of those candidates. Do you know anything about the former federal prosecutor? And I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name, Adam Deitch, who was a former prosecutor in Boston. Do you know anything about him beyond that?
No, I think he's from Rhode Island, and he comes from kind of an upper crust background. He just moved out. He just moved into to Norfolk County from Boston, but I'm told he's really a political novice. But I'm told that he was a pretty effective assistant U.S. attorney. He did a lot of the work on that on the Karen Reed case. He was involved in Monica Cannon Grant case, which was this BLM activist. She a major grifter, and he helped put her away, or she's about to be put away. Yeah. And so I think he's pretty good. Juna Perkins, who's a former DA in Suffolk, she's been working it really, really hard. And, she's been going around to all the town committees and everything like that. She doesn't have a lot of dough, and she's kind of liberal. I think Deitch is probably liberal too. But I think people in Norfolk County are just looking for somebody who's kind of like hard-nosed cop, Yeah. I think that's going to be the winning ticket, even in the Democrat primary after the disasters of the last few years.
Yeah.
A big issue has been recently the sidebars, and her Karen Reed's attorneys filed a motion way back in July, and it was roundly ignored. Then Lally filed a motion for clarification, maybe only a couple of weeks ago. Now, all of a sudden, Judge Cannoni has posted a document saying, "Okay, we're going to transcribe all the sidebars and release them." What I want to know is, what do you think's in all those sidebars? And two, am I being too suspicious to wonder whether what is released is accurately reflecting what happened in those sidebars?
Well, again, we come back to Massachusetts. You can't be too cynical, but I would think that there's probably not all that much. I think we would know something about it by now, wouldn't we? We would know.
I don't know.
We would have heard, somebody would have told us off the record or something about if there was something particularly egregious. I mean, when you look at what actually happened in the open courtroom, I mean, how much could it be than anything like that?
I don't know.
Where they're flat out lying, you know?
Yeah.
And admitting they're lying and then saying they didn't lie, and they're lying about things like their college educations, you know?
Oh my God, that was horrible. That expert that lied. That is just I'm just horrified by that. Are you kidding me? If I put up an expert here that lied about his degree, he doesn't have it. He's been working on it for some
17 years.
17 years. Oh my God, I'd be disbarred. I would be disbarred if I did that.
Howie likened him to Bluto in Animal House, because Bluto only took what, Howie, 7 or 8 years to get his
7 years of college down the drain, and then afterwards he vanished from the website, the Arbiter website or whatever it was.
Yeah, he's not there anymore.
Yeah, so it was 17 years of college down the drain for him. He was, but there were so many buffoons. You know, how about his predecessor, the state cop, Joseph Paul?
Oh, good grief!
Crime scene told me.
Yeah, it could have been consistent with it. It could have been consistent with a side swipe. He said it wasn't even a rear ender. It was horrible. It was just horrible. In Norfolk County, and there was a spot on Boston 25 just tonight that Cosgrove and the Norfolk County District Attorney are still looking to get into Karen Reed's phones, which they seized way back in the beginning of 2024. They got the phones, but now they want to get a court blessing when they're going into Karen Reed's phones to see if she was collaborating with Turtle Boy. Do you really think seriously that now that Karen Reed has been acquitted twice, they're really going to try and indict her a third time? Try her a third time?
I can't imagine it. But, on the other hand, I mean, who would have thought after she was acquitted the first time that they would just refuse to accept the acquittal and just try her again? I mean, we've all read, whether we went to law school or not, about double jeopardy, but I never expected I would run into it in my own life and see it firsthand. But I really, Alan Jackson, he really believes, and I agree with him. I think it was double jeopardy. What do you guys think?
I think it's double jeopardy too. I mean, I've heard Alan Jackson be very clear about it. I mean, he said on your show, I believe, he said he's the first attorney in the United States that had to try and get an acquittal of a client twice. So it makes no sense to me, Yoli.
Yeah, it was based on the judge's inability to manage the jury and make sure that she, questioned everybody about what they understood. Before just calling a mistrial, she should have asked them, do you agree on any of the counts?
Right.
Because that's what you do. You don't. I don't believe that Judge Cannoni did not know that she could ask that of the jury when they were completely, done. She should have asked them, are there any counts that you can agree on?
How about the jury slip? The fact that there was the initial jury slip, there was no not guilty box.
Yeah.
That's how we do it in Massachusetts, Howie.
And you said no, that's not my understanding.
that's what the judge said. Looking ahead, well, actually, I've tried a lot of cases. Earlier in my career, I tried a lot more cases, but every single case where there's a multi-count jury slip, the judge always asks, "Is this your verdict on? What's your verdict on count one? What's your verdict on?" And they go through each count, and that wasn't done. That wasn't done in Karen Reed 1.
And they even ask. I mean, they even poll each juror if the attorney requests it. So, I mean, I think that just declaring a mistrial right there, just quickly, it put everybody on, like, everybody was shocked, and people were saying, well, why didn't Alan Jackson speak up? Why didn't he? Well, it was just like, it just happened so fast. And I know what that's like. It just happens. And you're like, and then she walked away. She walked away and went to talk to the jurors.
Yeah. And then when the jurors come back and say, hey, wait a second, we acquitted her. And they write to the DA, and, Lally or whoever says, well, if you step forward, we're going to have to release your name. And you know what that means. The McAlberts are going to get you. I mean, that's basically what they said. Yeah. And so they didn't want to step forward. I mean, it was just so many miscarriages of justice.
There were.
In all this last 3.5 years. Almost.
Now,
4.
Before we went on, Howie, you said you wanted to talk about things going forward. Let me ask you about Brian Walsh. When Brian Walsh's wife, Anna, first disappeared, and then he made all those horrible, searches. How long for a body to smell? Is a hacksaw the best tool to dismember? What is from out, on and on and on, a whole bunch of, it seemed, and I'm an attorney, I give everybody the, presumption of innocence, but it seemed, pretty clear. Based on the fact that it was the same investigators or cops that did the Karen Reed case, Buchanan, Proctor, and the others, do you think there's any chance that their misdeeds in the other cases could, impact the Brian Walsh case, screw it up?
I'm not sure it'll ultimately affect it, but I mean, when they were doing some of those hearings in the summer, I think there was it Tully or Fanning was on the stand, and they were asking these questions, and it was pretty clear that they were using the same MO, just not really coming clean with anybody about anything. And when they got the cell phone, all the cell phones from everybody in that household, they did not have consistent stories. They did not have believable stories. But I think the evidence in this case is so overwhelming. It's probably not going to make it's probably not going to make a difference. I want to see what's in Proctor's cell phones, what he said about people, and how many more cops that's going to bring down. I mean, you already have one of the Sean Good is already suspended from the Canton PD. Another one of the Canton Townie was his buddy.
Because there's people who communicated with him on those texts. So even if, he might say something, and the people that responded, they might have some problems too.
Right, and we'll see. We'll see how the post commission. Again, I'm not seeing a lot out of the post commission so far. They kept they didn't decertify Proctor even after he was I think let go. He was just they just had him in some kind of limbo for a long time, and they've been kind of stalling around with this guy Devine, who's in the Canton PD, who was allegedly having sex with Sandra Birchmore as well. And they have a hearing on it. I don't know if you guys know Fishman, Judge Fishman. He's retired now, but he was the hearing officer for Devine. And do you know who Judge Fishman used to represent?
No, tell us.
Stephen J. Fleming, the rifleman.
Oh, the rifleman.
Yeah, I used to see he'd be in court, and they would ask Fleming. They would say, "Did you kill Edward Wempy Bennett?" And Stevie would look over at Fleming, and Fleming would go, "Did you kill William Bennett, Mr. Fleming?" Over and over and over again. And then he became a judge, and now he's pontificating and weighing in on allegedly crooked police officers.
Wow, that's I would think that's a conflict of interest.
So I know we talked before. Did we talk since we hit the play button? Do you have any insight into what is going on with all of the post-criminal trial Karen Reed cases, with all the civil cases? There's one in Plymouth County, there's another in Bristol County, and now the McAlberts are talking about bringing this defamation case. I don't know if it's been filed yet, but so 3 massive civil pieces of civil litigation. How in the hell can that? I guess I did say before that I've never seen anything like that. Do you have any insight into?
No, I mean, I had Damon Seligson on my show after the hearing, and I kept asking him. I say, wait, you're gonna have all these witnesses, probably dozens of witnesses, and you're gonna have 8 or 9 parties, meaning 8 or 9 lawyers, maybe more, questioning these people. And I don't know if you watched that status conference hearing on Zoom.
Yeah.
They
we did
a real time trying to come up with a date for the next.
Yeah, December 19th, but it took them forever.
On and on. Oh, what about December 6th? And I'm thinking, how are they going to have a trial if they can't even come up with a date for the status conference? It's just, I can't imagine it. I can't imagine how they're going to do it. When there's people can't settle. They got no money. Why would Karen Reed want to settle with Proctor? He's broke. Or Higgins.
Yeah.
Well, how much money do any of them have? I mean, how much money do any of them have? Is it really worth it? I mean,
What's that?
That wasn't supposed to happen. That was supposed to be a surprise at the end. So I apologize. When we edit this, we'll pull that out. And I was just trying to line something up for
buttons that you're not supposed to.
I know, I'm pushing buttons, Howie. I don't have a mailroom manager like you to do everything for me. So that's just the reality here. Only a couple more questions because I know you're only here for a short period of time. I don't understand the story about you were doing an interview with Christopher Lydon over at Public TV, and during the cutaways there was some kind of conversation about you don't talk badly about my brother. What was that all about?
This was Kevin White. This was Mayor.
Kevin White
with Christopher Lydon,
the mayor of the city of Boston.
Right. He'd just been reelected. They were doing a victory lap and all this stuff. And so they, how it is in a cutaway. You're making small talk. So they get the shots of people talking or listening. And so Christopher Lydon said, why is, I've never understood why does everybody kowtow to Billy Bulger, the Senate president? And Kevin White, the mayor of Boston, 4 times the mayor of Boston, said, "Don't you get it, Chris? If my brother threatened to kill you, you'd be nothing but nice to me." And it was on tape. It was on tape. Yeah. I had the tape. Yeah. They denied it, but I had the videotape. Thank you.
Yeah, you can't deny stuff that's on tape. Let me ask you this question. I don't think anybody's asked you this one recently, and that is, you took over for the late great Jerry Williams, who was a fantastic guy. How come in your show that you've been doing now for 35 years or something like that? Yeah. How come you don't do the annual sex survey? That was big with Jerry.
The last time they did the sex survey, the day the sex survey died was the day that OJ took off in the white Bronco.
No,
all of his calls faded away, and that was it. It was kind of like a message from God to Jerry to end the sex survey.
Oh, it just seems like I think you're fantastic. I've been listening to you for years. I won't tell the story now about how I started listening to you, but it seems like everyone, including you, have gotten more politically correct over the years. No?
Yeah, well, maybe a little bit, but
okay.
I don't know. I'm less politically correct than just about anybody, I think.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And to people that say that Howie Carr doesn't like any politicians, I know that there's some that you like, and one of them was Dapper, right?
Yeah, I liked Dapper O'Neill. He was a funny guy, and he was just a pleasure to be around. I mean, he was a guy who he went to this thing called Staley College of the Spoken Word, and this guy, Dr. Staley, he would teach people how to speak and conduct themselves, and even how to walk.
Oh my goodness!
Joe Kennedy, the brother, and Jack Kennedy were both graduates of the Staley School for the Spoken Word. And Dapper was just a kid out of Roxbury, a street kid. When he got out of the service after World War II, he took his GI Bill and he went and he learned how to be a politician from Dr. Staley. And he never won anything. He ran for all these offices in the 50s. He never won anything until TV came in the 60s. And he just knew how to deliver a soundbite because he had learned it from Dr. Staley. And that's, he was the classic old line politician, but he was never elected to anything till TV came. It's an obscure story now because people have forgotten him, but he was a very funny guy.
Do you know one thing that I'm sorry, go ahead, Yoli.
No, I said interesting, but I do have one question for Howie when you're done asking your question.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that the one thing that I really miss on your show, I really loved, was The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. And I got it almost every time. I had a secret method. I'd often be on the treadmill at the gym after work listening. And my method was to just clear everything out of my mind and count on my fingers. And I got it almost every time. But I never called in because I was at the gym on the treadmill.
Yeah, people still talk about that. They miss The Wizard of Oz. We used to take sound cuts from Ted Kennedy, and he'd always be half in the bag or hung over, and so everything would be and so we would play these cuts and give people a chance to say how many times he said it. And of course, I always would say, this is a subjective thing, and all decisions of the judge are final, and I'm the judge. So that's what counts. It's like you can't count an and you can't count an but that's three. I got some reels of that. I gotta get those. I gotta find those. They're in my office.
Yeah, you should.
You should. Was it Teddy Kennedy or was it?
It was all of them. Though. It was Ted Kennedy and then Joe Kennedy and then
Joe was the best. Joe Kennedy was the best. He couldn't finish a sentence with the last 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. Patches Kennedy was pretty good too.
Patches, yeah.
Yeah, he would say, I myself have educated myself, or making men's meat. That was my
Yoli, go ahead before I have one last thing I want to bring up with Howie. Are you there, Yoli? I think she froze. Yoli, you there?
I think she's frozen.
Oh, I am frozen. Sorry. I'm back.
What were you going to ask Howie before?
Oh, I was going to ask him, have you ever covered anything so ridiculous as the rubber ducky kingpin?
Oh, I know it's, I put it on the back of the book, the rubber ducky, and people sometimes, who just like haven't listened to the show or come out, I don't know where they've been, but they say, "What is this with the rubber ducky?" And I don't know. If they want to look at something crazy in a police academy, they should look at the 36-page report, single space, from the Canton PD on the rubber ducky investigation. I think I counted up there. They got 5. They 5 search warrants. They read the kingpin, the guy from Stoughton. They read him his Miranda rights twice. They wrecked his car's electronic system trying to put everything together. And these are the people.
His car?
Keefe was lying dead on the snowy lawn. They didn't bother to get any of the Ring camera video found.
Right.
But they got Ring camera video of the rubber ducky investigation from at least 12 cameras. At least 12 cameras. And again, 36 pages, single spaced, this report. And,
we know. We went over it on this channel. We didn't read every word of it, but we were, surveillance cameras for duckies. And like you say, there were no surveillance.
At one point, they had a multi-departmental raid. They had the Canton PD and the Stoughton PD together put in, and they went into his garbage cans to get his discarded Amazon envelopes.
Yes.
It looked like they weren't looking for like pill presses or freebasing cocaine materials. They were looking for envelopes from Amazon. It was in.
Yeah.
I know there's never. It was insane.
Envelopes that would have contained the duckies.
Yes.
Yeah. We read most of the report, not all of it, because it was, like you say, it was 36 pages long. And what's interesting is I don't believe they ever introduced an accident report in the trial for Karen Reed, but they had the rubber ducky report. They had reports, but not in Massachusetts. We call it the.
Had multiple units. They also had the, your mechanic was the head of the. I always call it the elite rubber ducky detail out of the district attorney's office. He's the one who ran. He ran around, and was hassling people for housewives for Facebook postings. And one of them recorded herself going, "Get out of here! You're going to prison."
Yeah.
And he's just running back to his car,
It shows that if they want to do something, they're going to do it. So, Howie, anyhow, with Dapper O'Neill, do you remember doing a Dragnet parody with him on TV?
Oh, it was for Jerry Walsh's birthday party at Channel 56. We have just a little. I know somebody who took part in that. I have just a little excerpt of that.
Carry a badge. The story you're about to see is true. Well, sort of. It was Thursday, April 7th, a cool, rainy day in Boston. I was working the day watch out of missing persons. My partner's Howie Carr.
We got a tip. You've been fixing tickets for Jerry Walsh.
10:07 p.m. With all leads exhausted, we went to the office to finish up some paperwork. Makes you sick. This case is closed.
Okay, that was just a little excerpt of the thing. I know one of the guys that was in on the techie side of that, and I couldn't resist bringing that in.
I'd love to get a whole copy. If you got the whole copy of it, I'd love
that.
I
could. Yeah, I do have it. Yeah, I do have it.
Yeah, I threw everything in one time. I said we were up at. I said we were up on the common doing surveillance, and then I got in a picture like months earlier of a guy taking a leak in the common.
Yeah, so we edited that out. We took that out because I shouldn't have given you a hard time for not being politically correct, but YouTube doesn't like certain things, and I didn't know if they would like that shot. So it's 3.5 minutes, I think, and I took. Yeah, I could send that to the mailroom manager in the morning.
I would love to have that. That was so much fun doing that with that.
Okay, I have one last thing I want to ask you. I know you love your dog Roscoe, and Roscoe's flying up to Boston tonight.
He's flying down. I'm in Florida right now.
Oh, that's right.
Down from New York. He's coming down. Like I said, Trump, two bigger rivals at Palm Beach International. Trump tonight, and my dog tomorrow morning.
So I have a dog. Her name is Lily. I don't know. There she is.
Hello, Lily.
Lily is going to be 15 years old, and I'm going to do a little collage. I hate to ask a big guy like you to help me with this, but would you mind just saying happy birthday, happy 15th birthday, Lily?
Sure. Happy 15th birthday, Lily. Roll over.
Thank you, Howie. I appreciate it. Any closing thoughts for us, Howie?
Thank you. No, just, you can get my book if you want it. Everybody, it's available at Amazon, and it's also available at howiecarrshow.com.
I'm going to get all your books. I got the one about the brothers, but I'm going to get all your books now because I'm a true crime person.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's got Kennedy Babylon 2 has got all the Wizard of Oz stuff in it, all the cuts, famous quotes.
So, yeah, I've got them all.
Have you got Hitman? Hitman's a good one, too.
I do have that. It's upstairs in the bookshelf. I didn't bring that down to the studio.
That's about Johnny Moderano. That's the one about the Winter Hill Gang. That's the pretty good book. I gave my mother loved to read, God rest her soul, and I gave her this book, and she read it, and she said, "Andrew, how could those things happen in New England?" Well, as Kevin Weeks once said, they said, how could this happen in America? He was asked on court, and he responded, "We weren't in America. We were in Boston."
What a great quote. What a great quote. Well, happy Thanksgiving, Howie. Thank you for giving us your time.
Guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And I'd love to get that Dapper reel.
All right.
That was great.
And it was nice meeting you, Howie.
Nice meeting you, Yoli.
Yeah.
All right, I'll send that to the mailroom manager in the morning.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys.
Be
Okay,
well.
bye-bye.
Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Yoli, why don't we go through some of our comments? That was a great interview, wasn't it?
It was great. He's such a great guy. I mean, what a brave guy.
I remember one time many years ago, many years ago, I was just out of law school and I was working at a law firm in Boston, right in the financial district. And I heard this other young associate laughing his rear end off. Like, what the hell is going on? And I went over and I said, what are you laughing at? And he said, this guy, Howie Carr, the legislature just passed themselves a nice, huge pay raise, and he's excoriating them. And sure enough, Howie was on the air just lambasting the legislature because, they can do whatever they want. They've put some minor restraints on it in recent years, but they had just given themselves a huge, I can't remember the percentage, pay raise. And he was just giving them all kinds of what. And so that's when I started listening to Howie, and I listen to him all the time because he's...
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize I had a book from him because I read True Crime all the, these years, and I had a book from him, and I didn't really follow him, but I did. And you should look into the Cray brothers. Those are
okay.
So sweet. The
So
Cray
let's take
brothers in English. It's spelled with a K. It's spelled with a K, Kray.
So let's take a look at some of our comments. Here's Moto Man. After being in management for the last few years, corruption doesn't surprise me anymore. And I've said that in previous episodes where, people say, oh, this is horrible, this is terrible. And I'm like, well, for Massachusetts, here's In Limousine. Thanks, Howie. Oh, I hope this is true. Scott McGinnis says this will get tons of replay watches over a short time. Well, I hope so, because we're aiming for 38,000. I'd like to get 40. Let's see, what else do we have? I have that one.
Baker in the house. Hello.
Where's Broken Baker? Did I skip past Broken Baker?
Last one. It says biggest gangsters in London. The movie about the Krays is okay. He knows about the Cray brothers.
Oh, you're really rubbing that into me, aren't you? That I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, how could you not know? I mean, I read, and that's how I knew that I bought the Bulger Brothers book by Howie Carr, because I bought them together. It came up as a recommended selection.
In Limousine, in Limoges. Need that. I am going to order for good old mom for Christmas. Yeah. If your mother is like mine was, may she rest in peace. My mom loved to read, and she generally tended to read more, straightforward American literature, British literature. She had been a teacher. So the Brothers Bulger book really blew her mind because it just did. So yeah, get that for Hitman is the best, Yoli. So there. I don't know the Cray brothers. You don't know Hitman. So there.
I don't. I thought I had a book about a hitman, but it's the ice man. About a hitman, the Iceman.
Here is CCGI Joe. Lily is the best. Thank you. You, Howie, longtime fan, listen with my dad, who is 76. All right, what do we have? We talked about the cocaine in the Western Massachusetts office, didn't we? In the governor's office in Western Mass. Don't mix it up with the intergovernmental mail from Maura Healy's office. Great live, everyone. I don't like doing lives, but, every now and then. That was a great one, Howie. Let's see. You look like my old friend George Matrix.
I hope she's not referring to me.
Yuri was rehomed, kicked out of DA Meatball Morrissey's MSP detective squad, sort of still MSP trooper sergeant somehow. All right. Let's see. In Limousine, I got to stop reading so many of his comments. Who else do we have here? Meatball is a lame ducky. You know, I had that question that you raised the question about Ducky Gate. I had that. I have a whole list of questions, and I don't know how I skipped over that one. So thank you for bringing that one up. That's a good one.
Yeah, I really wanted to ask him that because it seems ridiculous. I don't know. How is a ducky harassing a rubber ducky? Unless it has explosives in it, then that might be.
No, they were just simple rubber duckies. DA Michael Meatball Morrissey's biggest investigation ever, the rubber ducky investigation. Just corruption in your face, but some dummies still can't see it.
Oh, so Motomax is asking, what is Ducky Gate? He doesn't know.
Oh boy, let's see. Do you want to give the short version or should I give the short version?
The short version, because
oh my goodness. Well, this gentleman who is from Stoughton had heard Alan Jackson in one of his arguments say, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it is a duck. So, you know, playing on that, this gentleman whose name was Rich Schaefer. Schaefer of Stoughton was leaving yellow rubber duckies around Canton and Stoughton, and he had the misfortune to leave one outside the D&E Pizza Shop, which is owned by one of the Alberts. Oh my gosh, a complaint was filed for witness intimidation that these ducks were left on a bench. One duck was left on a bench outside of the Albert Pizza joint in Canton. And so that's what launched the whole thing. It was really kind of a joke. It was kind of a cute thing. You know, Alan Jackson during trial during one of the pretrial motions had made a comment about looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So it was really kind of a funny, stress reliever kind of a thing. And he really didn't mean anything by it. Oh my God. The Massachusetts State Police unit led by Yuri Buchanan, did, as Howie said, a 36-page single-spaced report in which they went and they got surveillance camera footage, which they never got in the Karen Reed case. They sent out all these warrants, and they went after the man and prosecuted the man for witness intimidation and littering. There were 2 charges, witness intimidation and littering. And I don't know if I've heard of anything so ridiculous in my life. And the thing went to Stoughton District Court. And if I remember, almost all the charges were dropped. One of the minor littering things was continued without a finding, or some other, get out of my court, I have more important things to do kind of a thing. So that is the short version. I'm certainly no expert on Ducky Gate, but that's the short version. And we did do an episode, a long time ago.
Yeah, you guys used to have duckies. You used to have rubber duckies in the background, remember?
Yeah, and what happened is that I have a closet where all of our technical stuff is, cameras and cables and all that garbage you need to do all this stuff. And I would put them up for the Karen Reed episodes, and then I would put them away in a box for the other episodes, and I just kind of forgot. But I meant to bring them home today. I really meant to bring them, because this is my home studio, Studio B, and I forgot to bring them home. But, do you think I should bring them back out again?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how rubber duckies could ever be a threat, but or intimidate a witness. I just think that's ridiculous.
Oh, here's a good one. Scott McGinnis, who I thank you, Scott. He views and comments a lot. The statists got so upset with conversations like this. Howie calls out all the corruption. I love it. 32 years working for the Commonwealth. It was always call Howie to give him info on the corruption. And that's the good thing about being a respected reporter like he is for, all of those years, that you get sources and people are willing to call you and you protect them. You never give out their names and they know you're going to protect them. So you get juicy tidbits. Let's see. Oh, and here's another good one. And we all miss Mumbles Menino cuts too. Do you know who Mumbles Menino is?
No.
We've had some interesting mayors in Boston, and
Well, that happens to me sometimes.
And I just thought to myself, should I say this? Yeah, I'll say it. My undergraduate degree is in mass media, and I went to Emerson College, and they teach speech. They teach speech pathology. And at least when I went there, which was a number of years ago, they had speech clinics around Boston, and they could correct people's speech issues. I had a fantastic teacher. I was on the media side, and he was so good at speech. He went around the room the first day of the class at Emerson College, and he had us all speak. He says, I want you to just speak for a minute and tell me about you, but do not tell me where you're from. And this incredible speech professor in the broadcasting side, he knew where we were each from. He said, Myers, you're from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. He knew different county dialects from New Jersey. The very few kids that were from outside of, New York, New Jersey, and Northeast, he could tell them right off. So he knew where he just understood dialects, and he corrected them all. So by the end of that class, we all had this, at that time, this beautiful standard Midwestern accent that you hear broadcasters. So that's what they can do there. And I always said to myself that if Mumbles Menino really wanted to, he could have corrected that speech. Yes, he could have. And I've had people argue with me. Yes, he could have. But anyhow, I digress. Should we go through some more of these?
I think you've gone through
All right. You bored?
most of them.
Are you bored?
No,
Howie's
no,
an
no.
Susie Q. Susie Q is a regular, I think. She says Howie is an icon. Wicked Psyched says, much like a cookie, I predict the opposing team will crumble. Oh yeah, here's a Mumbles Menino quote. This is a Mumbles Menino quote right here. That's like an Alcatraz around your neck. He meant to say albatross. Get it? Mumbles would mean to say that's like an albatross around your neck, but he said an Alcatraz.
Look at Woman of Steel. She knows the Cray brothers.
Oh, stop rubbing it in, will you? Christy, Ducky Gate was so terrible. All right. So that was good for a good live. As you know, I'm not really excited. And I knew the answer to this a minute ago, but I don't know it now. How much did the ducks end up costing the taxpayers? And I saw an article that referenced that. I don't remember the number. Christy Reynolds is a regular with us. Great show with Howie. Leah Doherty, who also is a regular with us, says that was so fun. Great show. Woman of Steel. This is the last one I'm going to read. I'm 65. Got hooked on the true crime by reading my grandfather's True Detective magazines when I was 7 or 8. They were pretty mild back then, so Grandpa said it was okay, and my parents were okay too. I kind of sort of remember those.
I remember them. Well, I remember them like old versions of True Detective.
Yeah. They don't exist anymore.
No. I remember seeing old versions of them that were way older than, like in the 70s. Yeah, because I've actually looked for them and they just don't exist. What passes for literature these days? Newspapers are all pretty, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk to Howie about, but we ran out of time. He went way over the time we were given, and so I was excited about that. But what passes for magazines these days, just really, it's sad. There's not a lot. Howie had said in another context on another channel that, there aren't any reporters anymore. And I wanted to get into that with him. He said there just are not any reporters anymore. And I wanted to talk to him more about, newspapers, in my view, are pretty much done. TV news is on its way out. There's really not a
a lot in the way of TV news that's pertinent or that people watch anymore. And I think that whether you like it or not, podcasting is going to take over the whole news thing. Now, I'm so good at this, I can't seem to get rid of the
The
comment. Yeah. Because there was one thing. Here we go. There we go. There was one thing I wanted to play for Howie.
Oh.
And that was, and we didn't even ask during the episode for people to subscribe. We're right on the tip of 38. We're right on the tip of 38,000. I really want to get to 40,000 by the end of the year. I really want to get to 48,000 by the end of the year. And here are two characters from the Karen Reed saga that are going to tell you that it's free.
Pay for a subscription?
I do not.
Ask it differently. I'm going to allow that.
Well, you know now because you follow. You pay for a subscription?
I do not.
Did you get one for free?
Yes. I was not paying to any social media.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
Sorry, I have just a few more questions.
It's denied.
I was not paying to any social media.
Okay.
Oh boy. So my closing thought, Yoli, is that there are these 2 or possibly 3 civil suits now in the Karen Reed saga. I've watched some other podcasters, talking about them and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing to consolidate them or not, whether some of the parties have contradicted themselves in some of the paperwork. We all know as lawyers that it's okay to make alternative pleas, but yep. And, but it's not a good look when people are contradicting themselves. And I just think, I have been litigating cases in the Massachusetts and New Hampshire arena for over 3 decades. And no, I've never seen anything like this. It is a jumble, what. Who knows what's going to happen. And I'm not as optimistic, having followed the Reed case now for a couple of years and having followed litigation. I don't see how people say it's going to settle. I did an episode, remember we did an episode on my experiences defending bars in dram shop cases. And if those dram shops settle out, they're crazy. So I don't know what's going to happen. That's my closing thought. Go ahead.
Well, my closing thought is that there's a lot of personal feelings involved, and I don't know if those personal feelings will subside over time when they have to answer interrogatories, the plaintiffs and the defendants, because that's time consuming, and when they got to produce documents, and I'm just wondering if it'll fade, but I don't know. It just seems like this is just it's just a lot of emotions and drama. So I'm wondering, once the work sets in, when you really have to start producing things, right? You have to gather things from your client. You have to ask them for certain things, and they're looking for documents. They're looking for pictures. They're looking for things, and they get tired, of that because they have their own lives to live, and sometimes it just dies of attrition. It's just, I don't know if that's going to happen in this case or if it's going to fuel the fire more. It's going to get more explosive. Beyond that, I don't know.
Discovery, as you know, I don't have to tell you, but our viewers might not understand that in civil cases, discovery is the backbone of it. And that's what we spend a massive amount of time doing. I've been trying to get discovery off of my desk in recent days. And in one multi-party piece of litigation I'm involved in now, it just gets to be huge. And yes, it's tiring for the clients, but it takes an awful lot of time for the attorneys, especially they're talking about depositions that could go on for days.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think in a future, it's too deep of a pool for us to jump into now to analyze what's going on with those cases, but we will in an episode coming up. So my idea for an emoji, I don't know about you, but Howie's a big radio guy. He's a radio guy. And so I would guess for an emoji, we should have a radio.
Or microphone.
Or a microphone. That works. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Radio or a microphone, either one. So, all right, Yoli. Good to see you again. Thank you for helping out with Howie. You made some really pertinent comments. So have a good one.
Well, thanks for having me.
Whether you are in the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else, please remember to be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And the same goes for our comments section. We want you to comment, but be nice, be kind, be positive if you can. And Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.
Okay.
That went pretty long. Yeah, that went really long.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do on Friday. You still want to do the Friday episodes?
It's up to you if you want to or not.
Sure. What I was thinking for one of them, just, cut this up into a shorter thing. Maybe intersperse it with some commentary.
Yeah,
that's what I was
fine.
thinking.
You can do that.
I don't know. It just went too long.
It did, but it was good. I realized I had a book. I can't believe it.
The Bulger Brothers book. That's a good book. This one. This is a really good book. This is a really great book.
I read it so long ago, but yeah, interesting. Hot mic, they're saying.
You learn a lot about Massachusetts because there's a lot of little.
Recording. You're still recording. Hot mic.
Uh-oh. Hot mic. Sorry, people. Look what you get to see if you stick with us. I didn't swear or anything, did I?